Hello and welcome to the ActiveGraf Loan Portfolio Dashboard use case. I'm Laszlo Balassi, founder and CEO of ActiveGraf. If you're viewing this video, you probably have some idea of the key features and value proposition of ActiveGraf, but to really understand its full power, it's best to see ActiveGraf in situations that you face every day. And so if you are a senior manager of a bank and have to set loan portfolio strategy, this demo is for you. We have in front of us a loan portfolio dashboard that is very similar to the kind of dashboard that you'd see in any commercial bank or corporate bank, investment bank for that matter. And behind this, we see a spreadsheet which has all of the loan portfolio data, including the performance of the portfolio relating to yield, both in consumer and corporate. Let's just say that this is a universal bank that has consumer and corporate loans. And on the left, you'll see the cost of credit and reserves that has the classification buckets and the write-off ratio. And then we have here the recovery ratio, as well as the capital and cost ratios. So cost-income ratio, capital ratio, and capital cost. And all of this results in the net contribution of this portfolio. And as you can see, this portfolio is in trouble. It's about $3.3 billion underwater when taking into account all of the attributable costs to this portfolio. Now, when I was running a bank, it would take us literally weeks to set a portfolio strategy to correct a portfolio. Because what would happen is the analysts would come, show us a dashboard like this one, graphs, data, and I would have my risk manager, CFO, the front office manager, and also the ops and tech manager, and we would have to decide what to do about the portfolio. And instead of being able to immediately see the impact of a certain strategic step, we would basically come up with certain scenarios and then have analysts run those scenarios and come back to us in a couple of days. As you can imagine, when a bank has to correct a portfolio issue, everybody is trying to jostle for position and make sure that it's not their department that is negatively impacted by the strategic move. And so these kind of iterations would go on and on as the analysts would come back, the negotiations would start again. And we developed this case in ActiveGraf to show the power of real-time decision-making by being able to use graphs to run scenarios. So here we go. This portfolio has a yield of, for the consumer part, average yield of 4.5%, whereas the corporate is 2.75%. So if we're trying to reduce this deficit, it would stand to reason that some part of the strategy would entail increasing the yields. So let's do that. With ActiveGrafs, you can just grab the charts, change them, and those drivers will give you new results immediately. So let's just do that. Let's add 50 basis points to this portfolio and see how much that changes. Didn't change all that much, actually. With consumer, we may be able to get away with a little bit of a higher increase in yields. Corporates are more price sensitive and could churn away from the bank. So we would only be able to, let's say, add 50 basis points here. And so we see we've cut from 3.3 billion to about 3 billion. So 300 million we've saved. Also, we can look at our capital and cost ratios and say, well, cost income ratio in consumer, which is the light blue, 65% is quite a high cost income ratio. Why don't we change that to 55% and take the corporate 56% cost income ratio to 50%. Now this obviously involves reducing resources required to run this portfolio. Also, we can say that recovery rate in case of a default of 15% is not very good. So we can take, let's say, the consumer up to 20%, and let's take the corporate up to 30% and see how we do there. And so we've cut $1.3 billion off of our negative contribution of this portfolio so far. but we clearly need to make more strides. So here our write-off ratios need to be reduced drastically. So how much we're writing off of each portfolio at the end needs to be reduced to probably about the 1.5 range or 1% range. Let's click into the corporate. There's the consumer. We've clicked into there. Let's click into the corporate now also and reduce that to 1%. And that about covers the portfolio, and it's still losing some money, which we could probably adjust by further tightening of the cost-income ratio, let's say to 50%. And there we go. So in establishing these steps, we've been able to observe the impact on the net contribution of the portfolio with each strategic step that we can take. ActiveGraf allows for real-time scenarios and immediate feedback to make data-driven decisions, and thereby reduce the time to make a good decision and make those decisions in an informed way.